Welcome. Let's understand ellipses as a conic section. Well, let's consider the case where we have two cones. The one here in the top and the one here in the bottom. And then in addition, we introduce a plane. The one here in blue. Well, notice that this plane is intersecting one of the cones. And right now, that intersection is creating a parabola. Well, why don't we rotate this plane? Notice that the intersection, it is taking a different shape. Now it is looking like an oval. Well, this intersection is what we call an ellipse. And notice that that ellipse sometimes is elongated. If we change the rotation a little bit more, that ellipse, it is getting smaller, but it is still considered an ellipse. And if we reduce that rotation, the ellipse, it is getting larger, but regardless of the dimension, we are still creating an ellipse. Well, this intersection, it is occurring on a plane, which is a two-dimensional figure. So how about we start looking at this intersection in a coordinate plane? So now let's look at some characteristics that this intersection, which is an ellipse, has in a coordinate plane. And to analyze this ellipse, let me just draw one that is mostly opening horizontally. So now let's have a discussion about the important parts that we need to consider when analyzing an ellipse. Well, let's start by acknowledging that any ellipse has a center. It is a location. Let's call that location h, comma k. And notice that there's a section of this ellipse that is stretched the longest. In this case, if we consider the horizontal distance, that is definitely greater than the vertical distance. But the longest distance that passes through the center, that's what we call the major axis. And a line that is perpendicular to the major axis, and it also passes through the center, is what we call the minor axis. And the location where the major axis starts and ends, and the minor axis starts and ends are very important. The distance that we have from the center to one of the endpoints of the major axis, we will use the placeholder of the letter of A. So I'm just going to say that this is half the length of the major axis. Ellipses are symmetrical, so whatever length we have to the right, we also have it to the left. But now if we consider the endpoint of a minor axis and we look at the distance towards the center, we're going to represent that using the placeholder of B. And ellipses are symmetrical, so whatever that distance is, it is the same as if we go from the center to the lower endpoint of the minor axis. And one relationship that is always true is that the length of letter of A will always be greater than the length that we have for the letter of B. So let me clean up our graph to discuss more parts in the ellipse. Now next, we have to acknowledge that an ellipse, it doesn't have one focus point, but it actually has two focus points. And they are located on the major axis. So let me use the expression f1 to represent focus number 1, and let me use the expression of f2 to represent focus number 2. And what's unique about these focus points is that they are equidistant to the center of the ellipse. And the distance that we have from the center to any of those focus, we use the letter of C to represent that distance. And remembering that ellipses are symmetrical, then that's the same distance that we had if we would have gone to the other focus point. And there's actually a relationship between those three distances. If we take half the length of the major axis and we square it, that will always be equal to half the length of the minor axis square plus the distance from the center to the focus square. Let's not confuse this with the Pythagorean theorem. This is just a relationship between the distances for the ellipse, but what sometimes makes it confusing is that we use the same letters as the Pythagorean theorem, A, B, and C. But this is only true for ellipses. So let's erase the illustration for the conic section to give ourselves some space to define the ellipse. We are going to say that an ellipse, it is a collection of points. Where the sum of the distances to both focus points, which I'm going to use the word foci, that is plural for focus, remains constant. Let's visualize this definition. So here we're visualizing an ellipse, and we are representing both focus of this ellipse in this blue and orange point. If we choose any point in this ellipse, which right now this pencil represents that point in here, if I find the distance to the blue focus, that's equivalent to 3.4, and if I find the distance to the orange focus, that's equivalent to 2.63. And when I add both of those distances, it is equivalent to 6.04. Well, what if we choose a different point in this ellipse? So now let's consider this point. When I find the distance to the focus in blue, it is 1.79, and when I find the distance to the orange focus, it is 4.25. So even though their distances change in value, notice that the summation, it stays the same, 6.04. And this will remain true even if we choose another point. When we consider this point in the bottom, the distance to the blue focus now is 4.28, and the distance to the orange focus now is 1.76. But even though their distances change in value, the summation of those distances remains the same. And this is what we refer to as the sum of the distances to both focus remains constant. And when this is true, we will always create an ellipse. Hello. If you would like to continue learning about mathematics, you can check out the videos on the left.